The coalition agreement has still now got to be negotiated. Susan Lee and David Littleproud are going to do that. I mean, obviously nuclear is going to come up. The Nats determined that that should be part of coalition policy. What's going to happen if Susan Lee says, well, you know, it didn't go down all that well, look how much we lost at the election, we should turn our back on it? I mean, that's potentially got the potential to scupper the coalition completely, hasn't it?
Well, it's certainly a big problem if that was the stance of Susan Lee. And look, I don't know how she feels about this, but I'd simply say that'd be silly. You know, I think the Nats are more in, I think, in tune with really what needs to happen going forward. I mean, they're rooted in reality as a party, and you know, the sort of the practical people of regional and rural Australia who really, you know, earn the export income of Australia, whether it be in agriculture or mining in particular. And I think, you know, what Littleproud's saying by continuing to put forward nuclear is appropriate. You know, one thing they might and really probably should consider is, and I don't know why they ever put it forward in the first place, is why would you back, you know, government funding? It would have been sufficient to simply say there is a ban on nuclear energy in this nation. Let's remove the ban. Let's let the private sector propose projects, and at the most suggest, well, if there does need to be a bit of subsidy, the subsidy is simply to the same extent that renewable projects are getting. But let the private sector then put forward projects if they're viable. That would be a workmanlike way forward of compromise. Yeah.
Well, that's very sensible, because the $600 billion figure, even though it was inaccurate, I mean, it was the upper end of an estimate by a Labor-aligned policy outfit. I mean, that killed everybody. Every taxpayer who heard, oh, $600 billion, how the hell are we going to afford that? So your idea would be perfect. I want to ask you about John Pesutto in Victoria. He was obviously opposition leader. He ended up in court being sued by Moira Deeming, another Liberal MP in Victoria. She sued him for defamation. He lost. He had to pay out, I think, around about $500,000 in compensation to her, awarded to her. Now he's got legal costs, her costs of $2.3 million. He's been ordered to pay that. And of course, he's going to have his own legal fees, could be anywhere between 2 and 2.3. He's probably got a $5 million debt. He hasn't got the money. And now Jeff Kennett, among others, are running around saying, let's all tip in some money into a fund for him. It's very difficult to see him getting out of this, isn't it?
Well, I'm scratching my head because, you know, I hold Jeff Kennett in the highest regard. But, Jeff, you've got to be joking. This bloke, Pesutto, went off on this crazy, mad sort of project, shall we call it, and he was dead wrong. And at multiple stages during the process, he could have just apologised, and certainly where he would be no worse off from where he is today, other than he wouldn't have this whacking great bill. The Liberal Party shouldn't be bailing him out. There should be not a single cent coming out of Liberal Party coffers. If people feel sorry for him and they want a sort of a GoFundMe on an epic scale, well, you know, that's freedom, that's democracy. But you know, I think he showed the utmost poor judgment. And really, he's got to look, you know, he made the bed, he's got to lie in it. So I wouldn't be backing him up. And the idea of a political party's donors and supporters, you know, sort of putting their funds into that other, instead of winning the next Victorian state election is crazy.
Yeah, I think he's on toast. And if he loses, if he goes bankrupt and he has to step down from Parliament, by-election in Hawthorn, just grab Amelia Hamer, who did so well in the federal election campaign, almost snatched that seat off Monique Ryan, put her up and put her in the state parliament. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody then, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, I think he showed incredibly poor judgment. He, as I said just a moment ago, he had multiple occasions where it was clear that, you know, he had, you know, gone about this the wrong way. He'd gone too far. He could have backed down, and maybe he would retain the leadership, but he certainly would still be, you know, able to sit in the state parliament. But he chose not to, and he's got to pay the price. That's a personal decision that he made.